The Burlington Parks and Recreation Department entertains residents throughout the year with a plethora of fun and engaging activities. And even though many Burlingtonites would likely give the department high marks, they are looking for new ways to get even better. As they celebrate the department's 50th year, they are also working with outside help to evaluate the department and get feedback from residents on how to make the next 50 years a bigger success. Part of that process was a meeting last week at Grandview Farm to hear from residents and gather their ideas of how to improve the department.
My colleagues and I work with communities like Burlington, really all around New England, to do parks and recreation needs assessments for towns and communities as they start thinking about the planning process for parks and recreation.
The University of New Hampshire team spent multiple days in town gathering information.
Yeah, so the last few days we've talked to probably about 40 or 50 parks and recreation stakeholders. So these would be people who are familiar with the Parks and Recreation program. They could be participants or parents of participants, partners of the Parks and Recreation program like the schools, police department, conservation commission, those kinds of folks. And we'll be sort of talking to them in a focus group format to try to understand what the needs and the priorities are for Parks and Recreation in Burlington going forward.
So what have they been hearing from Burlington residents about their parks and recreation needs and desires?
I think Burlington's pretty similar to most of the towns that we worked on. So, obviously, field space is always going to be a big issue. So, fields for youth sports, multi-purpose fields, sport-specific facilities like baseball and softball. We've heard, that people are really interested in swimming facilities and the opportunity to swim both indoor and outdoor. We've also heard quite a bit about interest in outdoor recreation activities as well. So, trails and connectivity and those sorts of priorities.
The researchers also want to hear from you. They will be launching a community-wide survey to allow anyone with thoughts on the town's parks and recreation activities to weigh in.
Yeah, sure. So, we generally engage in about 3 different ways of data collection. So we do the focus groups with stakeholders, which we've done the last 3 days. We'll do this community forum meeting tonight where we really test out some of the themes from the focus groups. But then the next piece is really a survey that will go out to every household in Burlington. So that survey will be able to be done in a couple different ways. We'll have an online format, so residents of Burlington will get an email link. They'll be able to complete the survey online. There'll also be some paper copies of that survey available in the Parks and Recreation Department's office, Town Hall, in the Council on Aging. So there'll be places for people to do paper surveys as well if they can't access it online.
Bob said filling out the survey is easy and will take less time than walking a loop around Rahanis Park.
Yeah, the survey is really straightforward, easy to take. We've done these surveys all over New England. It's customizable to Burlington, so it'll really reflect Burlington's priorities. But, it'll probably take people about 15 minutes to sit down and do the survey. There'll be both closed-ended questions, so scales and rankings, but then there'll be opportunities for people to write and provide some written feedback as well.
Finally, the more people who engage in the process by filling out the survey, the more information the department will have when planning for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the town right now is engaged in a master planning process, and it's a great time. It's the 50th anniversary of Parks and Recreation in Burlington, and so this is an opportunity really for people to be able to sort of voice their opinion on what they would want to see in Parks and Recreation for the next, at least short term, next 10 years, but maybe even beyond. So, really, everybody in Burlington is a taxpayer, is a stakeholder of Parks and Recreation, so their input's really important in trying to understand what the planning priorities are going forward.
At Grandview Farm, I'm B News Director Rich Hosford.